Casey Jones, tuning in to Combat Sports Coverage.
Hey, what's going on? This is Thomas Denzi with Combat Sports Coverage. And on this edition, I'll be interviewing professional MMA fighter Casey Jones over his upcoming Fury Fighting Championship fight, May 24th. So, Casey, tell me how your training camp is going so far, about 1 week out from this epic fight.
Dude, it's been a very good training camp. I've been working a lot with our head coach Daniel Pinedo over at 4 Ounce Fight Club, and anybody who's ever trained with Daniel knows how helpful that is and how much of a task that is to deal with him. So, if you can deal with him, which I can't, but preparing with him gets you ready for anybody, especially on the local circuit.
And how is the new gym? I know 4 Ounce recently kind of changed locations. They got a new gym and everything. How is the new gym?
Dude, it's awesome. We have, it's a bit of an upgrade, really. We have a lot of mat space, wall mats everywhere, so we can do cage work there. We have a cage off on the side, bags everywhere, a new fitness area where you can do weights and all that kind of stuff and circuits. So it's looking good, man, and we're improving it every day, too. So it's awesome.
It seems nice. I've been seeing a lot of 4 Ounce guys posting pictures of the new gym and stuff, and it seems like a nice gym. I definitely recommend everyone going by and checking it out. And so tell me, you seem like a pretty tall and lean guy for 135 pounds as a bantamweight. How is that weight cut going for you, and how much weight do you typically cut?
I wouldn't consider myself that tall. I'm only 5'8", but yeah, I have a lot of weight in my legs and stuff, so that's probably why I walk around so heavy. I used to not. I used to be about, 145 pounds soaking wet, but now out of camp, I get up to like 160, which seems pretty typical for bantamweights, but usually cut from about 148 to 35, which is not terrible. So sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's not. And every time you do it, there's something you can change up and improve. And this time I'm making sure I'm on point with getting rid of salt and water loading and everything. So I think it's gonna be a pretty good cut this time.
And how much weight would you say you have to cut right now, about 1 week out from your fight?
About a week out, I'm about 150, but I'm still eating quite a bit. So when you kind of deplete how much, food weight and everything, I'll probably be 47 or so, I would guess, by next week.
Oh, wow, that's exciting. Yeah, that's definitely a good cut you have. So that's really cool. And then tell me, how do you see this fight playing out versus your opponent, Jose Guerrero? Do you see yourself winning by KO, TKO, or again a submission, or is this going to be an all-out war?
I think he thinks it's going to be an all-out war. That's not how. I mean, I've played that game before and came up not on the good end of it. It's just not my style to brawl. So I would hope for a knockout. Never gotten one, but we'll see. He's southpaw. He's not that comfortable on his feet. It looks like he's a bit of a jiu-jitsu guy, wild. Probably touch him up on the feet. If I can find my spot, cool. If I can force him to shoot in, that'd be great, and find a submission on the ground. And I think I'm a lot better on the ground with him as well. So anywhere it goes on paper, I should beat him. But you got to keep in mind this fight's not on paper. It's in a cage with anybody can knock you out with the bolo punch. So you just got to keep your P's and Q's minded, and you'll be fine. So I feel pretty good about this one.
Yeah, it's definitely a good, exciting fight. I can't wait to see it. I've been following your career for a while now. Even when you're an amateur, I remember seeing you fight in the circuits coming up, and I was always like keeping an eye on you. I was like, man, this kid could definitely give a lot of people some problems coming up in the future. So I definitely think it's going to be a great fight, and everyone needs to be checking that fight out. And then speaking of your amateur career, I wanted to touch base on you on your amateur career. You were an amateur champion. You also fought when you were an amateur. You fought a lot of high-level guys, some UFC guys like Roberto Sanchez, who's in the UFC now, and then you also fought a Bellator guy, Yancey. And then how do you, tell me, like, how fighting those guys, high-level guys in your beginning of your amateur career, how does that make you feel knowing that, you fought guys on the higher echelons?
Well, honestly, when I fought them, I probably shouldn't have been fighting yet. I didn't have the proper training to be in the cage, really, but it just gave me a lot of lessons learned, and it kind of let me know what I need to work on. And there's some really good guys. Who was the other guy? Roberto Sanchez and who?
I can't really say his name. Yancey? What's his like? Adrian Nancy? I'm horrible with
Oh,
names.
Adrian Yanez.
Yeah,
You're
there it
talking about?
is. Yeah, I'm horrible with names. Yeah.
That's all right, man. Yeah. He's very good. Adrian's quite skilled.
And then tell me, how is you're currently ranked the 17th ranked professional bantamweight in Texas, and how does that feel? Heading into these fights, is that like extra pressure for you, or no, not really?
No, I don't really pay too much attention to that because I mean, anything can happen. I mean, I expected to, you know, win my last three, and I got caught in a submission with Joel Scott 2 fights ago, and then I fell down the ranks. So you just gotta keep humble and really understand that anything can happen, and you need to be prepared in every aspect. And so, yeah, I don't really pay too much attention to the rankings and everything.
And then also, when you were in your amateur career, you fought for Bellator, one of the top organizations out there. And how was that experience? Especially being when you were an amateur, stepping on one of the biggest stage that you could step on. How was that experience? Was that were you pretty nervous, or was that pretty awesome?
Nerves were probably the same as any fight. You know, we did the post limb, so it was like everyone was gone when we fought, and the lights were out, and it wasn't like a big crowd. I mean, you're in the big Toyota Center Stadium, so you were kind of in the arena, but it wasn't the same as if the whole crowd was there and everything. But I just fought a really good Leomano Martinez that night, so that night didn't go my way. But it's that was a cool experience to fight in that arena, though.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially probably from being Houston, going to the Toyota Center to fight. I bet that was an awesome experience to go out there and do all that. Did you end up having like a lot of people stay around for the fight?
Well, there was I think there was three amateur bouts that were in the post limbs, and there was still quite a few people that hung around that they were just there to see us. So even in the big Toyota Center, there was a decent crowd still down there, but not packed like it would have been if everyone stayed. But it was cool, yeah.
And then how far away do you think you are from getting back to maybe Bellator or getting into the UFC?
It's never a time thing. It's got to win this fight, got to win the next one, got to and just got to keep going. And sometimes it's just the luck of the draw. Someone, I catch someone's eye and they decide, all right, let's give this guy a chance, or maybe I get a shot on the contender series or what have you. But the important thing I've learned is you can't look at the top of the staircase. You got to look at the step in front of you, and you'll eventually get to the top if you just keep that way. You don't want to stumble looking up at the top. So just one step at a time. I'll be 6-3 after this one. Possibly fighting, 4 weeks after this one in San Antonio. So 7-3, and just I want to keep building my record and just keep improving myself in the gym and keep healthy, especially.
And you seem like a pretty active fighter. Is that something you like to be? You like to stay active and get in the cage as much as possible?
Definitely, yeah. I seem to do better, especially short notice. Like I've always kind of thrived on that. Like couple days, 3 days notice, 2 days notice, whatever. You don't sit there and overanalyze, overthink. You just go in there and you fight and you react. And I tend to do pretty good that way. So as active as possible is great, and that's more paychecks too. So that's not a bad
always
thing.
Nice. Yeah. So UFC, if you guys are watching, make sure if you guys ever need someone on short notice, call Casey Jones. And then if the UFC ever reached out, for something like the Ultimate Fighter or for the Contender Series, would that be something you would be interested in?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's like I said, that's one of the things that I'll get my name drawn for at some point. And Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard, and especially Mick, he knows all the Houston guys. So if they're keeping an eye out for some possible guys to get on there, I'd love to. And I just got to keep working hard and make sure I'm ready for that level and keep preparing myself.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Definitely get some more Houston guys out there since Mick is up there now these days in the UFC, and hopefully he can pull more strings for all the Houston guys. And then looking back on your career so far, if there's any fight that you wish you could get a rematch or redo that fight, what fight would it be?
That is a good question. I mean, you don't want to, I guess, because my career went the way it did, so it made me who I am. So I wouldn't necessarily want to go change it. But if I could redo the Joel Scott fight two Furies ago, just because I felt like we both didn't do as well as we did, like Joel included. I think he would agree. Like that wasn't either one of our best fights. And that's he slipped in that guillotine, and congrats to him on that. I mean, that was him gutting it out and pulling the submission out at the end of in the middle of the third. And I had some chances to finish it in the first two rounds, and I didn't. So if I would have gotten his back, a few seconds earlier, maybe I could have. I mean, woulda, coulda, shoulda, but it didn't happen, and that's something I learned from too. So, but maybe that one.
Yeah, that would be always good. I like your mindset, how you don't want to look too much at going back in fights. That's always a good look to have. And then speaking of fighting all these tough guys that you have fought, is that something you and your coaches maybe look into? Because all the guys in your fight that you have fought pretty much are all killers. They're all some of the upper echelons, I would say, of Houston fighters, and you don't really have at all a padded record. And is that something you kind of would prefer to have? You're not really trying to find fight any bums. You're always just trying to fight some of the top guys.
Yeah, I don't like getting handed fights that I'm supposed to win. That shit doesn't motivate you. First of all, it doesn't you're not like, oh, I better get ready for this guy if he's 0-4 or something. It's just not. And some guys like that. Some guys like just going out there and looking like they're killers. I want to be a killer. I don't want to. I want to be a feared fighter, and I want to be as skilled as I can be. And I also, if you want to get to the top, to the UFC, and those guys fighting bums is not going to prepare you for that. So you can't handle these elite fighters if you're taking on all these bums all the time. That's just, you're not going to be ready for it. It's going to be a whole new experience for you, and a rude awakening probably.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's something I really always respect about you as a fighter, watching you come up and everything. You always fought these really tough guys. I'm like, oh man, because I know you're not the oldest guy. You're still kind of pretty young. So I'm like, man, this might be too much. And a lot of times you beat them. And I'm like, wow, that's why I always feel like you're gonna be one of the star one day in the making. Everyone needs to keep an eye out on you and keep watching your career, because you're definitely going to make it to the UFC if you keep doing what you're doing. And then what got you to become a professional fighter?
Professional. I mean, I guess just after every fight, I wanted more, especially after losses. As an amateur, I got to the point where as an amateur I was 1-7. So my jiu-jitsu coach at the time, which is pretty much the only coach, I had a jiu-jitsu coach and a taekwondo instructor. So I had no wrestling, no boxing, no Muay Thai really. And my jiu-jitsu coach, he told me, he made a very selfless decision and told me, hey man, I can make you good at jiu-jitsu, but to be an MMA champ, you need to go. He pushed me to go to 4-ounce, and I eventually made that move. My amateur career turned around, and I started winning and finishing people, and I was like, okay, I can do this. It kind of slowly built my confidence, and every time I kind of proved myself right, I was like, oh, I can. And so I'd win, and then I got a shot at the 45 title, and I won that, and I was like, holy crap. So that, made me realize okay, maybe I really can, go professional. And then I got the shot at the 35 title, and then I won that. And I'm like, okay, I think it's time to go pro. And even though, and I lose my pro debut in a decision against Steven Vera, just with some small, kind of being smart, being on top, going for leg locks, losing position. And it's always kind of an experience thing. It's okay, if I could go back, I wouldn't have gone for that and stayed on top. But, it's everything's just the learning experience and trying to build off your mistakes and getting better every time. So I guess after I won those 2 amateur titles, I think that's what kind of let me go, okay, you're ready. Let's go.
That's awesome. I knew you had the belts. I just thought they were all for 135. I didn't know you also had the 45 belt. That's really cool. And then, do you have any other hobbies outside of, training and fighting?
Hobbies? No. I mean, I used to, like to go fishing and hunting and stuff, but now there's no time for that. It's either you're at work or you're training your butt off. So, and that's, there's time for relaxation, but every now and then, but, right now, I think this is that time where I really gotta stick to it and push it and get in these fights and stay in camp. And I don't ever like to get out of camp more than a week. Like after a fight, if I'm hurt or something, take the week off, rest, recover, and then I need to get back in the gym. Because there's, it's not a matter of being in shape for a fight. It's a matter of I need to keep working and getting better. Because like there's so many guys out there, and I mean, I'm going against blue, purples, and stuff like that on the ground around here. Well, UFC, everyone's a freaking black belt. So I need to be ready for that. I need to be ready for elite strikers. I need to be ready for all these things. So there's not a lot of time for that when your goal is to get to that level.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great mindset to have. And then speaking of the UFC, I want to get your pick for this weekend's main event, where we'll see Keven Lee taking on RDA. At 170 pounds. And I just want to get your picks for that main event fight. Who do you think is going to win that fight and why?
Even though Keven Lee lost his last one, I would say Colby was able to just completely neutralize RDA. So if he takes the page out of his game plan, I think Keven Lee will take it, get it done with the wrestling. Hopefully.
That's what I'm hoping. Yeah, I'm going for Keven Lee also, but you never know. RDA is a dog, and he's going to put up a dang good fight. And then I want to see, do you have any special shout-outs to any sponsors or any training partners before we wrap this up?
Definitely my 4-ounce fight team, man. They've all been sacrificing, being my sparring partners, helping me out. Anything I need, they're always there. I mean, that's my second family right there. So just always 4-ounce fight club. For life, son.
And do you have any last words to your opponent?
Please don't wear the Speedo.
Right, yeah. For everyone that might not know, you posted a picture of him wearing a Speedo. Does he usually fight in that, or is that just something he wears to weigh-ins?
He fancies himself a model, I think. So I didn't go digging for that. Someone sent it to me because it's all over his page apparently, and that's kind of his side hustle or whatever. I thought it was funny. I posted a picture of me on one side and him on the other in his little red Speedo, and I thought he would take it as kind of like me jabbing at him, but he didn't. He was like, all right, let's have a good fight, bro. I'm like, okay, all right.
Yeah, so, right. I guess he's proud of the Speedo,
He put him up, so I guess he is.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you again for giving me some of your time and coming on the show. And everyone needs to make sure to stay tuned and check out Casey Jones fighting at Fury Fighting 32, May 24th. And thank you again for coming on.
Dude, thank you, Mr. Thomas, for having me. Appreciate it, bro.
And make sure to check out our sponsors, Infinity CBD, for all your CBD oils, pills, creams, and anything you need. And make sure to use our coupon code CombatSports10 to save 10% on your order. I highly recommend checking out their creams because they work amazing.